kasih, Suka. Okay, selamat pagi semua. Thank you for joining us today, especially coming from a public holiday yesterday to joining me in this session today. It's something that we appreciate. And looking at the number of participants, we have 300, more than 300 participants joining us. Okay, so thank you again for joining us today. So let me just share my screen. Okay, and I will click record. Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about facilitating effective presentations using Zoom. All right, so to just give you a quick overview of what we will be covering today. Okay, the first part will be covering the planning process. So in any presentation, planning is very important, but for Zoom presentation sharings, it is even much more planning that's required because of the coordination that's required with your host as well as your co-host for a Zoom presentation, all right? And then we'll also be covering some of the visual guidelines so that we can put you, the presenter, and also the slides and the screen and any other things that you share in Zoom in the best light. We'll also be covering audio guidelines. How do you help your participants to hear clearly? Also, we will be covering the important part of engaging your participants. How do you make sure that your session is interactive and that you can use certain techniques or features on Zoom that will be helpful in your presentation? Then we also briefly cover some of the host and co-host roles because they are very important to help you to deliver an effective presentation. And we'll also have questions and feedback that you can have later at the end. All right, so some caveats. So today's aim of today's session is how do you facilitate effective presentations using Zoom? It is not a Zoom training session, so it's not going to be very technical on teaching you how to use the different features on Zoom, but it's more of how do you conduct a presentation using Zoom. Okay, but having said that, some of the Zoom features will be broadly covered, okay, with links there if you are interested to learn more. All right, so again, when in doubt, Google is your best friend. Okay, let me just see. Okay. All right, so let's go on. Okay, so for our presentation, right, today, the features in our session will be based on Zoom meetings, okay? So just to show you, this is a screenshot from the Zoom website. Okay, there are different Zoom products. So when people say Zoom, usually you will think of Zoom meetings, which is the current one that we are using. Okay, but if people talk about Zoom webinar is a different product. It's not Zoom meetings. It's very different. Okay, so to explain, we are using Zoom meetings today, okay? And also the features that we are going to be sharing today will be based on the Pro subscription. So this is a paid subscription. That's why you are able to do more features, okay? All right, let's go on. Okay, so if you have any comments, questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box. You can address the chat directly to me if you prefer, or you can also put the chat to everyone so everyone can see your questions. Okay, and if you have a burning question, whether I'm not reading your chats or something that really needs to be addressed, you can use the raise hand feature. Okay, where is the raise hand feature? So if you go under reactions below on the bottom right, if you are using a desktop, you should see the raise hand feature. Okay, so feel free to raise your hand now to test to see whether it works. Okay, wow. Great, so many of you raised hands. Okay, very good. Some of you are saying go faster. Okay, you're also playing with the reactions over there. That's good. Okay, yeah, can see that you're all playing with the reactions features there. Okay, so something to note is that once you raise your hand will remain raised until either you lower your hand or the host or co-host lowers your hand. Okay, but for reaction, like let's say you do tepuk tangan or thumbs up or laughing or heart shape, all these reactions, they will disappear after a while. But if you notice, once you raise your hand will remain raised, okay? So you can actually lower your hand after your issue has been addressed, or the host and co-host can also help you lower hand. If not, everyone who raises their hand, you will see their videos going up and you see like, wow, so many people are raising hands. Okay, so can you try to find how to lower your hand after you have raised your hand? How do you lower your hand? Okay. All right. Okay, and what's good is that for me as the presenter or the host, I can also see the total number. So this will be very useful later on in the session. We'll be also talking about how we employ reactions, because that helps us. Okay, so like let's say if the presenter asks, do you want me to go faster or slower? Then there is the faster or slower button as well. So you can actually use all these and people don't have to always unmute and talk to you or use the chats. Okay. All right. So I even have people drawing on my slide. Okay, let me just disable. Okay, well done. I see that you are really trying the different features. Yeah, okay, that's what we hope to be able to do today. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, I will be starting a poll. If you are using the Zoom app, you should be able to use it. But if you are logging in using the web version, that means you are just like going through zoom.us and you are logging in through the browser version. Unfortunately, you won't be able to get the polls. Okay, so if it's possible, please use the app as much as possible, because that will help you enjoy the features of Zoom. Okay, all right, so let's go with the polls. Okay, you should be able to see it now. Okay. Okay. If through the chat. Okay, let me see. Failed to submit poll error. Okay. Okay, for those who failed to submit poll, right? Are you? Okay, it's okay now. That's great. Okay, you don't have to tell me done, okay? Once you're done, because I can see once you've submitted your poll using desktop. Yes, desktop app. Okay. 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 Mobile browser failed to submit.
Kau ujung sekali isi di depan ni ada. Kau ujung sekali ini soalan kau di sini.
Betul? Oh, okay. Okay, it's okay. I think
Iban ba?
Bahasa Iban still failed. Okay, potentially, I'm not sure is it because I'm having too many participants inside here, but it's okay. What I'll do is I'll stop the polls and I'll share with you, okay? So I'm gonna stop, okay, and I'm gonna share results. Okay, so are you able to see the results? Can give me a thumbs up. Yep, okay. So I can see that most of you are logging in through the laptop. Okay, we have some using desktop, some 31% using mobiles also, okay, tablets and iPads. We have 21 people in this poll. Are you sharing? Okay, I have mostly people on one device, one person. 9 people are sharing with another person. 6 people are sharing in a group of less than 5. 6 people sharing in a group of more than 5. Okay. Which of the main roles? Okay, not bad. Around 45 people are as presenter, host, co-host, and also mainly as participants. Okay. Have you joined in a Zoom breakout? No, I'm unsure of what is a Zoom breakout. Pretty high. Okay. No, I know what a Zoom breakout, but I have not joined. Okay, I've joined a breakout room before. Okay, we will also be joining in a breakout room later, so you'll be able to experience what that means. Okay. Which of these Zoom functions are you familiar with? Click all that's relevant. Okay, very good. Most people know how to mute and unmute yourself. That is the very key feature in Zoom. Okay, starting and stopping your video, sharing screen. Okay, chat, sending a file. Okay, okay. All right, great. So let me stop share. Okay, so that's one of the examples you can use in Zoom. There is the poll function, okay? But for it to work, you really need your participants to be joining in from an app. But I'm really not sure for those who have failed to submit. I think that's something that I'll have to go and find. So thank you for telling me what the error issue was. I will go and look for it. So next time I'll know what's the reason for those who are unable to submit a poll. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So I was sharing earlier, right? Every time for a Zoom presentation session, it's very important that you have a proper planning process. So some of the questions to consider would be, what do you want to achieve during your session? How formal or informal will the session be? How interactive will your session be? Okay. When and how do you prefer to address questions? What items do you need and what kind of support do you need? So it's important to think through all this because it helps you in your presentation. Okay. All right. Okay. So it's important to think through really what do you want to achieve through your Zoom session? Is it going to be to inform, to teach, to coach, to discuss, to obtain feedback? So when you have a clear picture of what your what you want to achieve in your Zoom session, that really helps because it will help you to see what features to use, which ones to enable, how else can you interact with your participants, right? And if you have such a big group of participants, how do you manage that size of participants as well? Like for today, we have more than 420 plus participants. So how do you manage when you have so many participants, okay? So it's important to consider how interactive do you want your presentation to be. Is it going to be a one-way briefing, jalan sehala? Or do you want to have some interaction with participants? And also bearing in mind the constraints that you have in the form of the time that you have. If let's say for today we have 2 hours, it's a little bit difficult for me to listen to every single participant, right? So if I have 420 plus participants, I can't afford to say, okay, everyone unmute and tell me what your name is and where are you from, right? So that's where when you figure out the constraints that you have that helps you to also consider, okay, so what kind of settings do I need? What kind of techniques do I need to use? So for example, the poll feature helps because that helps to really get the feedback from participants and I can see the results straight away. So that's very helpful. Okay. So one important thing is to consider when and how do you want to address questions. Okay, do you want to address questions before the session, meaning that do you want them to send you questions during the registration process? Okay, do you want to do it via email or do you want them to send them a link via online forms? Okay, or if you want to address questions during your session, how do you want them to ask you questions? Is it going to be via the chat box directly to you or to everyone? Or do you want them to just unmute and ask directly? Or do you want to use an external application, for example, Slido? Okay, and also, can they ask you anytime? Or do you want them to wait until you reach the Q&A session? Okay, particularly when you're using Zoom meetings, right? And you enable people to unmute, you have to just be mindful of that because sometimes people may just unmute and like, excuse me, can I ask you? So if you have so many participants and you have so many people unmuting and asking you questions, that may be a bit overwhelming as well. That's why I shared earlier for this session today. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat. You can just direct it to me or to everyone, okay? So also, right, it would be helpful for the rest of the participants, just don't spam the chat space unnecessarily in case I miss out some questions, okay? But then again, you can always raise hand when you have something that you really need to be addressed urgently, okay? Or if you want to address questions after, for example, let's say you don't want to have any questions at all, then you can say, okay, for this time, I don't have any time to answer your questions, but if you have questions, you can email me or you can WhatsApp me or through another contact person. So this is very important because if not, your participants will be there like, how do I ask questions? Do I type in chat, but this person is not reading chats and all that kind of thing. So it's important to tell your participants when and how do you want to address questions. Okay, so we will briefly cover some of the meeting options. Okay, what kind of meeting controls that you are requiring? So do you want the participants to be able to ask a question? Can they speak anytime? Do you want them to chat with others privately? Do you want them to share screens? So all these are things that you can set as your meeting controls. Things to consider: how Zoom savvy are participants? Okay, I put that accidents happen, so it's best to just be careful, right? Particularly, I find that when you are using your mobiles or your tablets, it's very easy to accidentally unmute yourself. So that's where the role of the host or the co-host is important because the host and the co-host can mute participants. Last year, the main question that we were hearing in a lot of Zoom sessions was, excuse me, please unmute yourself. Please mute. Excuse me, please mute. Actually, you don't need to do that because the host or the co-host can mute somebody who accidentally unmuted themselves. Or later, I will also show you there is a feature that you can disable people from unmuting themselves. Okay, so earlier I was saying one of the questions would be that if let's say the meeting is going to be very formal, you have a lot of VIPs attending, you certainly don't want a lot of people to be unmuting unnecessarily, okay? So again, all these things to consider so that you can use the right meeting controls. Okay, how much feedback do you need from them? So all these are the things that you need to consider. How much time? I think I've mentioned it earlier. Okay, so I'm just going to show you an overview, and I'm just going to briefly cover them. Okay, so you can mute by default. This is a very helpful feature. Okay, later I'll cover. How do you want them to unmute on their own? To have an uninterrupted session with no notification where anytime anyone joins or leaves, permissions to share screen, waiting room, renaming themselves, showing your profile pictures, chat settings. Okay, so this one here is particularly for those who are hosts or co-hosts, for you to note, yeah, it's highly recommended to have all participants muted by default. Sometimes I see people don't do that. So when you have participants joining in, you always hear it's very noisy. So it's best to just mute participants upon entry so that, yeah, they don't accidentally just, make so much noise in your session, particularly when you have already started. Okay, and the next thing is, can participants unmute themselves? So if you prefer, right, that people don't unmute themselves, then you uncheck this function over here. Okay, let me just show you. Okay, so this one here, once you check, people can unmute themselves. For example, during this session, you can unmute yourself and you can talk. Okay, but if let's say I feel like, wow, I have 450 plus people and it's going to be tricky, so I prefer not to have any accidents, I uncheck. So once I uncheck, means that you cannot unmute and talk unless I give you permissions to. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, this one also is important. I see sometimes people still forget about this. Imagine if you have so many people in your session, right? You don't want a sound to keep playing. So I think earlier when we were using Zoom meetings last year, you will see this sound. Every time someone joins, someone leaves, you will hear a sound. So it's best that if you uncheck this so that you don't have interruptions every time somebody is joining in your session or leaves your session. Of course, waiting room, if necessary, use it. Particularly, let's say you need to have a rehearsal or you're still having an internal conversation, right? It's just best to have everyone else in the waiting room. Okay. Next, there is also a lock meeting option. Okay, so if you select this, it means that no one else will be able to join the meeting. Okay, depends like the reasons why. Okay, just to show to you some of the settings you can employ based on your meeting objectives. Okay, you also notice I've put all the links down there where relevant. So when you get the deck of slides, you can just read there to learn more. Okay, and also I think this one, most of you may be pretty familiar already. You can also decide who can share screen. Okay, is it going to be only the host? Is it going to be only the host, or is it going to be all participants? Okay, so if let's say you are very concerned, sometimes people accidentally share screen, so you can click only host. And when it says only host, it includes co-host. Okay. So let's say if you have a session and you have a few presenters, you can assign all of them as co-hosts and then they can share screen. Okay. And also how many people can share screen at one time. Okay, so this one usually is best for one participant to share at one time, but also you can enable multiple participants to share screen if you have dual monitors. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this is one interesting one. I'm not sure if you have noticed for this meeting, what I've done was I've actually disabled profile pictures. I think I have disabled. Okay, this is supposed to be slide, right? Okay, so that means you won't be able to see, if you switch off your video, there won't be any pictures, there will just be your name there. So this is actually an interesting security feature because, I believe most of you would have heard of Zoom bombing issues last year when, Zoom started, and then you hear about people hacking into the Zoom sessions, renaming themselves, okay, and hiding, renaming themselves to a wrong name, or, just playing around with their teachers last time, or showing a profile picture over there that may not be that suitable, or instead of showing their video, they just put a picture over there to, show as if they are listening. Okay, so it's a security feature that you can consider. If you want to have potential issues, you can just disable the settings. Okay. All right. I have a question. Hi, I'm wondering, is there any ethical issues when joining a Zoom meeting without showing yourself via video? Okay. To answer your question, right, because you use the word ethical, I don't think it is that bandwidth issues. It's actually okay to not have your video on, but please communicate with your host, your co-host, or your presenters accordingly, right? Some of the presentations, they may have certain requirements of you, or when you're attending training programs, for example, they may say you must switch on your video, okay? And if you have issues, then I believe you would be able to share with them. But certainly, I won't think that there is any ethical issues if you don't switch on your video, but you need to be able to demonstrate it's you, okay? And also, even if, let's say, you are there and you use a profile picture to show it's you, but it's someone else, that can also be an ethical issue. Okay, I hope I actually addressed your question, okay, to the one who sent to me via private chat. Okay, let's move on. Okay, chat settings. You can also enable the settings based on your preference. For example, over here, you can see, right? Participants can chat with. You can say, okay, I don't want them to chat at all. Just listen. It's a one-way briefing. No chat. Just don't chat at all. Okay, you can then check this. Or you can enable it so that they can only chat with the host. They cannot chat with other participants, right? Or do you want them to chat with everyone publicly, or everyone publicly and directly? What this means is that directly, let's say you go to the chat function there, right? And you see a name. Okay, let's say you see Soka, and you're like, you only want a message to go to Soka. So you click to his name, Soka, and then you type the chat. So the chat is only read by Soka. But if you click to everyone, everyone will be able to see the chat message that you actually sent to. Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on. Okay, recommended practices. Please, it's always best to rename yourself to your name, okay? So that others know who you are. I know a lot of our Zoom accounts, we have our Jabatan name, our department unit name. So it's always best to rename yourself. Okay, how you rename, you just go to click on yourself. The button there, you can actually click rename, okay? Yeah. Co-host and host can also rename participants. Yep. Okay, and also for presenters, just please, if you say if you say ask questions through chat, right, read your chat, okay? Because I've noticed that sometimes a lot of presenters, or during training sessions, they are so focused on their slides, they forget to read the chat. Okay, I have another question. Are all these features available in paid version of Zoom? How about free version? Okay, very good question. So when I was showing you earlier the slide showing you all the different paid subscriptions, right? So for the features to work, the host has to be the one with the paid subscription. Okay, so that means, for example, now I'm the one hosting the session. I have to make sure that my account is the paid account. All right. And then for my participants, right, however many participants who come in, they don't need to have the paid version. Okay, they can log in using the free version, is fine. Okay, so for the free version, right, you will have limited features. Later on, when you see the different features, right, you can actually also go and search whether is it available on the free version. So for example, for breakout rooms example, right, it is available on the free version, but you will have the time limit of 40 minutes. Okay, so basically everything that's free, there's always a limitation lah. Okay, so I hope I answered your question whether the features available on paid or free version. Okay, let me just switch off my laser pointer. Okay, also it's important whenever you want to share, right? Because you are sharing through Zoom. So you want to make sure you have a list ready of all the things that you need to prepare so that, you know, your presentation will go on smoothly. Okay, so you need proper planning when you are doing a Zoom presentation session. Okay, I will briefly run through some slides on tips on sharing slides. Then later you will move into breakout rooms and you will have practice time. Okay. Okay, slide size. This is a very interesting thing. So when you are presenting over Zoom, it is recommended to use a standard 4:3. Let me just try my laser pointer again. Use the standard 4:3 size instead of the widescreen size. This is available under the design tab of your Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay, I forgot to put caveat earlier that when I show you PowerPoint methods, I'm using PowerPoint 2010. So these are all like snapshots of Microsoft PowerPoint 2010. If you are using earlier versions or later versions or different versions, it may differ a bit, but I believe you would be able to find it out because these are basic features that should be available across the different versions of PowerPoint. Okay, so why it matters, right? It's because when you are screen sharing, particularly for the presenter, because all you're seeing is the full screen, right? So it's good when you're using a standard 4:3 instead of the widescreen because you have a lot of Zoom meeting controls and all that all over, and also the participants' faces and all that. So you want to use the standard 4:3 as much as possible. It's recommended instead of the widescreen. Personally, I really prefer widescreen because I feel that I can load so much of my information and pictures in widescreen. But when it comes to Zoom, I have to use standard 4:3 because that helps with screen sharing and also it helps for the recording. Okay, I'm not sure whether any of you have, whether most of you would have seen Zoom recordings. So sometimes by default, it will be that one picture of the speaker above on the right side. Okay, so if your slide is going to be full screen, the speaker view is going to be covering your slide. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit annoying for those who are watching your recording, or if you are streaming it live on YouTube or Facebook, that also happens. When you're using widescreen and your speaker's view is there, it will cover the slide. So tips, use standard slide size. Okay. Also, please minimize and don't use unnecessary slide transitions and animations. So for example, if you use this kind of slides, it turns. I've seen a presentation whereby because the animation was so complex, right? It actually froze there and the speaker was going on, but participants weren't able to see the slides because the animations were stuck. Okay, so choose your animations wisely. Personally, for me, I would just use Appear usually because that's the simplest. If I need to use animation, I'll just use Appear. But feel free to use the animations as relevant to your presentation's needs. Yeah. Okay. And also slide transitions. Okay. Also, as much as possible, just minimize because the more you use, the more bandwidth you're gonna use, and the more some of your participants may have issues as well. Okay, let's move on. Okay, when you are sharing a slide, you can either recommended to either use the reading view or the slideshow. Okay, so this is usually on the bottom right of your PowerPoint slides. You will see reading view or slideshow. Okay, so for example, let's say, okay, right now I want to show you, instead of using a PowerPoint, I want to use a reading view. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so this is the normal view, right? If I come over here, I can actually use the reading view, and that also works. Okay, for me personally, I also prefer, right, when I'm presenting on Zoom, I will set my screen to be on reading view first, so that when I start to share screen, right, they won't see my slides on the left side. Like, that means what I mean is I usually prefer not to start my presentations like this, okay? But I usually start my presentations on the reading view, so that when I start, I can straight away go to start slideshow. Okay. All right. Let me just move on to my slide. Okay, so that's on slideshow. I think still quite basic for most of you here. Let me just share screen. Okay. All right, of the presenters, they forget that they are on a presenter view. Okay, so what it means is like this. Okay, so imagine if I'm presenting like this, you can see my slides before and my after. You can see all my notes over here. Okay, so, and some participants are already using a very small screen, for example, and your tablet or your mobile, and you're showing a presenter view like this. So it's going to be pretty annoying. So the best thing you can do is actually to not use this presenter view. What do? You right click and just go hide presenter view and come back to this slideshow, hide presenter view. Okay. So remember, the thing about being an effective presenter is that whatever slides, whatever visuals that you use, you want to make sure that your participants can see clearly, be able to read that, to see that well, right? So you don't want to unnecessarily make it so small, okay, for them to see. Okay, you have this deck of slides. You can also read more the links that I've listed there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I have question. Boleh minta slide out. Later, just now Sophia already shared that you will get the deck of slides later, okay, as the rujukan. Someone else asked me how to share video. Okay, I will show that later, okay? Okay, thanks for your question so far. You've been very interactive. Okay, over here as well, so you can also use the laser pointer. So especially if your slide's gonna be a lot of graphs or words, right? And you want to show where you are, you can just do that. Right click on your slides, and then you do pointer options, and then laser pointer. Let me go. Okay, so let's say I want to show you, okay, this is here, right click, pointer options, laser pointer. So it helps. I've seen some presenters use it effectively. Okay, they have used laser pointer as a feature. Okay, or you can also use pen and highlight. Okay, so all these are actually Microsoft PowerPoint features that can be used not only for Zoom, but can be also used when you are having an in-person physical session. Okay, there's also the Zoom Spotlight annotation feature. So later I'll actually show you how do you use annotations. Okay, so over here, can you see this here? So this is not a laser pointer, but this one here is a Spotlight feature under Zoom's annotation tools. Okay, so this feature is only available if you are the one who is sharing screen. Okay, let me see more questions. Any tips on how to project slide that is linked to other docs such as in PDF? Okay, I can cover that later on sharing a slide that is linked to PDF. Okay. Okay, also tips on sharing screen. Give your audience the best view possible. If you are sharing a PDF, you can go to view and then read mode. Okay, instead of giving them a very small picture of the PDF, just go to view, read mode, and then your PDF will grow bigger. Okay, Microsoft Word, same thing. Instead of showing such a small word, you can use the zoom in feature on the bottom right. Okay, and videos full screen where possible. Okay, 10:43. Okay, so let's move to a quick practice session. Okay, just gonna be quick 5 minutes. So you will be split into different Zoom breakout rooms for 5 minutes. Okay, please practice the following. You can take a screenshot of this if you want, in case you need a reference to remember what you're supposed to do in your breakout sessions. Okay, so please practice the following that I've covered earlier. Create a slide using a standard 4:3 size. Take a screenshot of your breakout room members. Okay, ask everyone, please pause 1, 2, 3, smile, and then do a screenshot, and then copy paste that picture on your slide. Okay, and then you try presenting using a reading view and then change to slideshow. And then also practice using the presenter view, hide the presenter view. And then you can practice in your breakout rooms. How do you use the laser pointer feature? Spotlight annotation feature. Okay, actually I haven't covered the spotlight annotation feature. So if you want to, you can actually Never mind, later I cover, don't too complicated. Later overwhelm you. Okay, and then your breakout rooms, you will be randomly assigned, and 5 minutes it will close and you will come back to the group. So you will be randomly selected. I will just say, example, room 5, city, example, please present, okay? And then you will demonstrate to the rest of your group, okay? And you can click on ask for help if needed. Every breakout room, over there you have a ask for help, okay? Okay, any questions before I move you into your breakout rooms? So far? Okay, more questions. This feature only available for Zoom Professional, Zoom Pro. Sorry, Susie, which one were you talking about again? You let me know in the chat later, okay? Okay, no questions. I will open up the breakout rooms. Okay, so I have, let me count. Okay, most likely I have to create up to 20 rooms. Okay, so you will have roughly 24 people in a group, okay? So it's very big, but just to let you experience and try out, okay? Close after 5 minutes, automatically assign. Okay, let's go. Hey, for those of you who are here, how is it? Okay, ka? Some rooms just so quiet. Ayo. Hi, welcome back, everyone.
I thought we were asked to be quiet.
Si cukup masa. Yes, Dimple. Because of the time, right? Yeah, it's hard to really give you ample time. That's the thing. You know, for Zoom, you have to kind of like give time for people to try out and all that. But it's okay, because the main thing that I wanted for you to have was the experience of what it's like to be in the breakout room. Some of you were in the main session because you weren't able to join a room, most likely because you are in the desktop. You were joining in from the browser. Okay, instructions were not that clear. I can't join breakout room. It's automatically locked out once it's time to join the breakout room. Okay. Okay, it's okay. So actually what I wanted for y'all to do was just to create a slide, okay, and share. Just practice sharing a slide, okay? So what I wanted for you to do is to be familiar with what a standard, oh, yeah, thanks for recording. What I wanted was that for all of you to be able to practice on creating a slide, okay? And then you take a screenshot and then you practice what I've been sharing earlier. Okay, I would like to ask, okay, this is where you use your reactions, yes or no. Do you still want to go back to your breakout rooms and try this again? Or do you want to say, it's okay, just proceed? Yes, if you want to try again to go back to the breakout room. No, if you're saying, just proceed. Okay, give me your reactions. Thank you. Yes, no, okay, mostly no. Okay, I can only read your yes, no. Okay. All right. So yeah, this one is you can practice later once you have the deck of slides. I believe that because you couldn't see the slides, so you may be like uncertain what you're supposed to do. Okay. Okay, let's go. Okay, so the main thing that I've been covering earlier is that you want to help your audience to focus on your key points. So you know there's this game called Where's Wally, and you're supposed to look in the picture where Wally is. So you don't want your audience to feel like they don't know where you are in the slide. Okay, so help your audience to focus on your key points. Okay, all right. So tips before you start your presentation: always update your Zoom app to the latest version. Ensure that your Zoom settings I mentioned earlier are as per plan. Always restart your device, because when you have changed settings, it's always helpful to restart your device. Okay, make sure your device is fully charged, because the last thing you want is that you're presenting and then your battery goes off. Okay, have a backup copy of all your materials. So, you know, sometimes you have done so much effort to prepare your slides, and on that day, your laptop is not working, or you have an update and you cannot present. So it's always best that you have a backup, okay? For me, usually I have a backup on the thumb drive. I also email myself. I have 2 different emails to make sure that, you know, at least if one doesn't work, the other email works. Or you can also have another person, another colleague to assist you as well. Okay, and always have a always have a backup copy in case anything happens. Rehearse. Choose a location with the best internet connectivity to log in from. If possible, you get other unnecessary devices off the same internet connection that you are using. Okay, because you want to make sure that you have the best internet connectivity as possible. Okay, I'm just looking at my chat. Okay, how to put slide in the Zoom meeting. Okay, Yeah, a lot of people asking me. Let me just answer that first. Do you all see a share screen? If you look at the bottom of your Zoom, right, do you see a share screen? No, huh? The green color share screen. Yes, thank you, Sharifa. Thank you, Natasha. Yes, Rita. Yes, okay. So when you want to share a screen, you click on share screen, the green button, and then it will come up all the different things that are open. Whether you have your PowerPoint, your PDF, your slide, whatever that you want to share is over there. So that's how you share a slide on Zoom. Okay. So actually what I wanted was when you go into the breakout rooms, you can practice, you create a slide and then you share your slide on Zoom. Okay. The host disabled it. Okay. Okay, I've changed the settings. You can, okay, I just changed the settings to say all participants can share. So if you click share screen now, you can actually share screen. There you go. Someone is sharing screen. Okay, breakout room 19. Yes. Thank you very much for attempting. I'm happy that I see people that are able to share screen. Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, so let's say if this was an accident, accident, somebody share screen as a host, I can actually stop the person from sharing screen and I can override to share my screen instead. Okay? Can? Okay. Yes, so a lot of people ask how to share screen. Okay, different people are sharing screen. Yes, there you go, you're sharing screen. Okay, now I'm seeing your Google Chrome. And okay, one interesting thing is that always people ask, who is sharing screen? Okay, do you know how to find out who? On the top, in the middle, you will see you are viewing. Okay, so for example, for now is you are viewing Nurul, Amira, Adris screen. So I know who is sharing screen. Okay. Yep. Okay. So let me continue. Okay. So far, I hope that explains. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you cannot share when other people are sharing. That's why actually I wanted for you to go in the breakout rooms because you can then have more chances to share. Okay, but we'll see later if you have time, right? I will put you into breakout rooms for different activity if you have time. Okay. Okay. Just quick questions. So how can we share screen or PowerPoint when our PowerPoint has hyperlink? Sometimes the hyperlink doesn't display on the screen. Okay, because right. Okay, I will cover it later. Okay, please remind me if I don't address your question. Okay, I confirm I did prepare that slide on sharing screen. Okay, let me just move on. Good question so far. Okay, one of the big issues right that people have is always on bandwidth issues. Okay, let me spotlight myself. Okay, so reducing bandwidth issues, you'll see sometimes you have your internet is unstable, that kind of word come out, or some people they you cannot hear them. People will say suara robot, right? So what do you do to reduce bandwidth issues? If unnecessary, you can switch off video. Again, I mentioned again, if it's something that the trainer or the presenter or the host requires of you, example, they say you must switch on your video, then you switch on your video. But if it's unnecessary, you can actually switch off your video because it consumes a lot of bandwidth. Okay, and also do not enable HD video if possible, because again, that takes out more of the data and bandwidth. Mute your audio when you're not speaking. Okay, so this muting part is very interesting because it's not just about gangguan like you are making noise, but actually when you are unmute, the more people who are unmute, right, the more bandwidth is also taken. So it's actually a good practice to mute your audio when you're not speaking. Share screen for only as long as needed, because every time when you are sharing screen, right, you are actually also taking up more bandwidth. So if there's no need to share screen and you are talking for a while, just stop share screen, stop share, okay? So that at least your participants don't have internet connectivity issues. And also avoid running other data intensive applications. So for example, if you are downloading something else or if you're uploading documents, all these will consume bandwidth, okay? So these are just some tips to reduce bandwidth issues, okay? You can also read this later when you get the slides. So consider to inform your participants beforehand if you prefer for them to use the Zoom app. Okay, for example, let's say I'm going to have a lot of activities. I will have to tell them, please use the Zoom app and not join from browser, because once you join from browser, a lot of activities you cannot do. Okay, so you can remind your participants to update the Zoom beforehand or any other prerequisites that's required. Okay, all right. Okay, now let's move on to a little bit of interesting part on this. So besides your slides, what else will your audience see? They will see you, right? The presenter. Okay, so it's also for you to consider what's the image that you want to portray, where should you sit, what kind of lighting is required, how should you sit, what's the best camera angle, and what are potential distractions. So let me show to you some interesting tips. Yeah. So always use the best lighting that's possible. Okay, common lighting issues. You will see that sometimes if you sit right in front of a window, they will call this backlit. So look a little bit like hantu, a little bit like hantu. When I was Googling for the pictures to use, actually a lot of them, it's almost like gambar hantu. So as much as you can, right, if you can, don't sit in front of a window, because the light that's behind you will make you look like this, cannot see your face clearly. Okay, or harsh shadows also. If let's say you are using a very bright light in front of you, okay, the light's in front of you, this person's light look like it's one side. Yeah, so one side, the light in front and probably at the side. So one half of his face is lighted, the other half of the face is not lighted. So it's because the light is from the side. Okay, best is always have the light from the front. Okay, or if you put too bright a light, it will be overblown. Your picture will look very, very, very bright. Okay, and under lighting on the right side is not enough light. Okay, so do your best to present yourself in the best lighting possible. So for example, for me, I'm sitting right in front of a wall. I don't have a light source behind me. I have a window in front. So the window is shining the light on me. So lighting is okay. Okay, so consider these things when you are having your presentation. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I shared earlier, so avoid sitting right in front of a window or any bright source of light that's behind you. Okay, also angle your camera at the right eye level. Okay, sometimes when you put your camera too low, people can see your nose. So it's like you're talking down to them. One of the things that is not very nice also is if let's say you use your phone and then you put your phone below, so it's like your participants, you are talking down, you feel like the participants are lying down and then you are like talking above them like that. So it's best to angle your camera at the eye level. So what I do is I usually stack up boxes and I have a separate Bluetooth keyboard. So it's separate from my laptop. So I can actually control that and you can actually view me at the eye level. Okay, minimize distractions behind you. So try not to sit in front of very distracting things. Sometimes people like to show, I have a lot of nice books, or I have a lot of nice things behind me, but all these are potential distractions. Because sometimes people will be like, oh, what is it on the cupboard? Or wow, what kind of books, what kind of toys this person have? Or okay, also a bit difficult if you sit in front of donuts and then you make people think of food, right? Okay, so always try to minimize minimize distractions behind you. Okay, tips for presenters. So have a good source of light in front. So lean towards the screen. Refrain from swiveling in your chair. So I've seen some presenters, right, because they sit on the, not say kerusi beroda lah, but the chairs with wheels. So they end up presenting like this. Selamat pagi semua. Yes.
Ini apa dah? Tak biasa saya zoom on telefon pun. Kebenaran ni yang
Apa dia? Sorry, tolong repeat soalan ni, Tek. Oh, okay. Asking me, okay. So tips for the presenter is over there. Okay, have a good source of light. Lean towards the screen. So don't sit on this kind of chair. Then you keep moving around like this. Best camera is at your eye level. Don't look down at them. Okay, help your audience to focus. I wrote lock your door if you need to. So the thing is this, I've seen also sometimes people put their camera in front of their staircase, tangga. So imagine lah, if like the suami niat turun, make sarung je. So it's like your audience see behind lah, alamak, like, you know, so try don't sit in front of places that will cause, you know, other people to not have a very nice sight. So like example, your children, your family, your, you know, whoever who is in your house, they won't just be doing funny things behind you. Okay. Yeah, I think one of my previous sessions, some of them they shared, they said there was one rainy day and then, you know, the father just make sarung je and then just run across because need to tape the baju. So always choose somewhere where, you know, you will have minimum distractions. Okay. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, so I've seen some of you, when you are logging on Zoom, you are logging in using that big camera. I forgot what's the name. That, you know, that camera there, and then you're like all below. So I know sometimes it's difficult where you have to have such meetings where you're all meeting in person. But as much as possible, if you are the presenter, try to have your own device, your own personal like laptop or desktop, right? With your own camera. So it helps when you're presenting. Because if you're going to use that camera that's on top, right? And then everybody's going to see you like, you know, very far and with other people. So it's going to be a bit difficult for them. Okay, so it's best to always have your own device when you are presenting. Okay, let's move on. Okay, virtual backgrounds. Okay, it's very interesting. So try not to use a virtual background with too many words or images. Okay, right now I'm using a virtual background. You can see behind there, right? Do you see this? Yeah. Okay, so I wrote there, consider using a design which will not be blocked by you. So meaning, if you're going to use a virtual background with words, don't have these words on your back below here. I've seen sometimes they use a slide, right? And the words are in the middle and the presenter is sitting right in front of the slide. So then it'll be very difficult for people to see, or it's like very distracting also. Okay. Do you all know how to use virtual backgrounds? Can you show me yes, no? Okay, how do you do virtual background? Good. Okay, bottom left of your Zoom, do you see video? Okay, there's this sign above video. You go to choose virtual background. So once you choose virtual background, you can change different kind of virtual backgrounds. Okay, you can also use video filters. Some people like to play around with different filters and all that. Okay, or like pizza kind of thing. Okay, so you can actually play around with the virtual backgrounds or video filters, but just remember that when you're having a serious conversation, then, you know, just make sure all your filters and funny backgrounds are not there. Okay. Yep. Okay. Got problem on virtual background, size problem. What does that mean? Okay, you have to choose the picture that you want to use as a virtual background. You can create a slide, save it as PNG, and then you add it as add image as virtual background and use a virtual background. Okay. Yeah, okay, some people saying using mobile phone. Yeah, unfortunately, it's best if you can to log into today's session using at least a tablet, iPad, or your desktop. Yeah, if not, it'll be difficult for you. If not, you can also watch the recording for this session so you'll be able to see the slides. Okay. Okay. Is there a limit of the image for visual background? Is there a limit for size of the image for visual background? So far, I haven't seen an issue with that. Okay, but you can try to see. Okay, for my virtual background, right? I know mine is blur because this one here, this was sent to me via WhatsApp. So I just use my colleagues, the picture that the colleagues sent to me via WhatsApp, and I use this virtual background for now. That's why it's a bit blur, but I can improve it by using the higher res version. If not, like for now, my background is blur. Okay, so use virtual backgrounds when necessary, but please consider something that's not distracting. You can also use the blur let me go again. I choose virtual background. Okay. Say for this, okay, I'm using a blur, so you can't really see what's behind me because it's blurred out. Okay, it's just a door lah. Okay. Virtual background. Okay. Which is more appropriate, GIF or JPEG? Okay, it's very interesting. It depends on your session. What do you want to achieve lah? Okay, have you seen those people with virtual background of the sea? So you have like the picture of the coconut tree, and then you have the waves, right? I believe that's a GIF lah. So it depends on your needs. Do you want to use something that's moving, or do you want to use a still image? Okay. And also just to share for those who are saying about like switching on your video to make sure it's you. Actually, people can play around with that also. They can just create a GIF of themselves watching. Maybe they just post a few posts like that, like that, like that. And then they can just record it and play. Instead of them, they can use it as a virtual background also. So yeah, you can consider that as well. Usually, okay, for visual background, depends on the laptop's engine software. Your laptop cannot use visual background and it's not compatible. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Usually 430 times 360 pixel better, but if using 1190, we'll need high connection. Okay, thanks Marvin for that input. Yeah, Cheryl noted. The presentation slides will be shared with you, yeah? Okay, virtual backgrounds are very interesting. Okay, also just check if it appears correctly or you need to do the mirror screen feature. Okay, what do I mean by mirror screen? So, okay, example, right? If I do this, terbalik, right? Do you see? It's not. Okay, so you can actually just make sure that your words are correct or still the same.
Yang hari yang ada yang selected lima ya si perlu.
Okay, good, Augustine. I got my virtual background. Okay. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Sorry, no changes because I think I already changed the settings earlier. Okay, never mind lah. Just make sure that you check to the mirror screen feature to make sure that your background is correct lah. Okay, let's move on. Okay, sharing screen. So I mentioned that I will share about sharing screen, but I just want to launch a poll to see your thoughts. The questions are a bit interesting lah, but it's just for fun, okay? Yes, Asman Bakir. Trying to share screen. Okay, let me see how you're going with the polls. Okay, I'm getting more and more responses. Okay. Okay, I shall close the polls now. Okay, this one is a bit difficult, the questions, but it's just for you to really think about it, okay? Can you see the results? Yes, okay. So the first one, when you are sharing a video using the share screen feature on Zoom app. Oops, yes, somebody sharing screen, okay? So when you're sharing a video using the share screen feature on the Zoom app, must you stay unmute so that the video sound can be heard by others? Majority say yes. A few say no. Okay, the answer is no. Okay, so many people think that when you are sharing a video using the share screen feature on the app, you must unmute. The answer is no, you don't need to unmute. The video can still be played. But, the but over here is, if you are using Zoom browser, you need to stay unmute. Okay, because if you are sharing video using a browser, right, you won't be able to hear the sound if you are muted. But if you're using the app, no worries, just unmute, just mute yourself and the video will be able to be played. Okay. Okay. And the second one, you started to share screen and then you click on the specific PDF file to share. Suddenly your WhatsApp web has many incoming messages and you click on WhatsApp web to view them. Will other people see your messages as well? Okay. The answer actually is no. They won't be able to see your WhatsApp messages or any other files that you click because you only shared the PDF file. Okay. Only if you click share screen. Like, okay. Like, for example, if you want to try, you just click share screen now. You will see a lot of version there, right? Okay. Okay, good. Thanks for sharing your screenshots over here. So if you click on share screen for the rest of you, okay, can you stop sharing screen first, Hamdan? Okay, thank you. You can actually, let me just, okay lah. So if you click on share screen, right, before you click on anything, you'll be able to see options. Okay, you can just click on share screen now. Just don't click on anything else. You'll see screen, whiteboard, iPhone, iPad, and any other document that is open right now. So if you click on screen and you share screen, everything you do on screen will be seen. Okay, but if you only click PDF, then the people will only see the PDF. So just now I got a question on the hyperlink. So when you're clicking on a hyperlink, right, you actually need to click new share. Because once you click on share slides, right, and you open any other file, people won't be able to see the files that you are opening. So you need to click on new share, or you just stop share and then you just put a sharing again on which is a specific file that you need. Okay. Question. So the host, co-host cannot stop. Yeah, the host can stop. There's actually one button that I can click to suspend all your activities also. I can actually stop you from sharing screen. So basically, for the question that the one who asked me the question, right, I can actually disable all sharing also. Instead of letting you share, I can disable you to share. But I have enabled you so that you can practice sharing screen. Okay, I think I may stop the disable it later. But if let's say somebody accidentally share screen, I can also stop the person from sharing screen. Okay, hope that answers that. Okay, so let's move on. Just a while. My mouse is not that sensitive now. Okay. Okay, tips on sharing screen. So always help your participants to pay attention and not be nosy. So for example, like if you are sharing your screen, right, don't go and share your WhatsApp web or share your desktop unnecessarily, especially if you have different confidential documents. Okay. This thing on confidential documents, right? I've also seen sometimes people forget they are sitting in front. They're sitting in front of a flip chart. They don't have a virtual background, so they have a flip chart behind them, and the flip chart over there could be some confidential conversations. Okay, also, so share the specific file where possible, or only share. Okay, so what I mean is share the specific file where possible. So you have to open the file first, then you click share screen. Okay, only if there's really a need to, then you share your whole screen. Okay. Yeah, I know for some of you it may be a little bit complex, yeah, but just ask. Okay, don't worry, just ask only in the chat. Okay. Okay, tips on sharing videos. So if you will be showing a video that is streamed online, right, do load the video in advance. Okay, if you want to show a YouTube video, don't like now you want to share the video, then now only you go to YouTube and you switch on the video like that. Okay, because if you have internet issues, right, the video will be playing and then it will stop and then it will buffer, right? So if possible, you just preload it, just play the whole video first, make sure that it's playing. Then when it comes to the time to share the video, then you have it loaded in advance. Or if it's better, if you can have an MP4 file, because you have lesser issues of internet connectivity when you have an MP4 file. Okay, just do make sure that you are adhering to copyright issues. Okay, so if you are sharing a video, don't plug in any external speakers. So for example, for now, I'm using these headphones with a mic, right? So if I'm sharing a video, I will unplug it also so that the sound can be heard. Okay, and also over there it says, when you're using the Zoom app, you don't need to be unmute for your sound to be heard. Okay, you can just mute yourself and play the video, the sound should work. Okay, do mute yourself when you're playing a video. If not, everything you say or you breathe can be heard through the video. Okay, so just mute yourself unless you need to do a running commentary. Okay, gray boxes appearing on screen. Sometimes some of you have this issue. Okay, let me just show what I mean by that. Okay, do you see gray boxes appearing on the screen? Yes, gray boxes. Have or not? Yes. So what is this gray boxes? Actually, the gray boxes here are my Zoom feature, because whatever that's gray, right, is the Zoom box right now. Let's say, for example, now I'm opening the chat box in the middle. So you are seeing one big gray box in front there. So how do you disable it? When you're doing screen share, right, you need to uncheck optimize for sound clip. Okay, and now the gray boxes should have disappeared. Okay, so don't click on optimize video for video clip when you're sharing slides, because you will have the gray boxes that will cover your slides. But if you're playing a video, you can check the optimize for video clip option. Okay, so just to share that, because sometimes some of you say what to do with these gray boxes. Where is it, the optimize thing? When you're clicking share screen, right? When you're clicking share screen, and then you click already on whatever you want to share, you know, on top there, right, the meeting controls there will be the 3 dots more talk there. You just click on it, and then you will be able to see select sharing sound. Before the sharing sound, you see share sound, check, optimize for video clip, check. So uncheck the optimize for video clip, but if you're sharing sound, right, please check the share sound, because if you don't check share sound, it will not play your sound. Okay. Okay, so far. Okay. Are you okay? Okay, give me a reaction. Okay, guys, thumbs up if it's okay. Okay. Okay, I know for some of you who may be more familiar with Zoom, you'll be like, okay, yeah, I know this, and maybe you have a few new things here and there. But for those who are like completely new to Zoom, I know it may be a little bit overwhelming because there's so many new things. But yeah, I was saying that the slides will be available, the recordings will be available, so you can refer to that. Okay. Bagaimana kontrol suara di sekeliling semasa Zoom program? Maksudnya Azman, kontrol suara sidat lain kah? Kontrol suara sendiri kah? Suara siapa? Okay. Masih blur. Yeah, okay. Okay. Actually, that's an interesting suara background. Your own background noise, is it? So, actually, very good question. I will actually be covering the sound part right now, okay? So over here, how well will the participants hear you? Okay, hearing you clearly, yeah? Okay, we're actually covering this part. Suara dan bunyi bising. Okay, so it's best, Moon boleh lah, okay? Don't sit somewhere where all your colleagues are behind you and they are making so much noise, right? If possible, you choose a room that you can be on your own, a silent room, so that you don't have all these people who are talking behind you. Otherwise, background noise, it is always usually about your headphones and earphones. That's why I always recommend using a headphone with a mic. Later, I'll cover that as well, because that helps you with background noises. Because not all laptops, right, are that good to control your background noise. Sometimes when you just use your laptop, right, that means you don't use any of this. You are depending on your computer's mic and speaker. It may not be the best. So I always recommend to use a good pair of headphones and ear sets, okay? Okay. So what is appropriate voice modulation means that you don't monologue lah. Don't use the same tone of voice. Nah, okay? Just have a little bit of interesting sounds a bit so that people don't fall asleep. Okay? Semasa sedang buat presentation, ada peserta conteng screen out. You can actually disable. Later, I'll show you how to disable people from conteng screen. Okay, try not to sit so close to a fan. Okay, I actually have a fan next to me. I usually switch it off lah, because if not, it'll be very noisy. Okay. Also to answer your question just now, yeah, suara background, fan. Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear my fan now. Let's switch off my fan. I have all this extra noise. So I usually have to switch off the fan and switch on aircon lah, terpaksa. Okay. Yeah, someone want to say something? No? Okay. So switch off all notifications if possible, right? So for example, anything that will make sound like WhatsApp web and all that, because let's say when you are sharing screen and you have quick share sound, every sound that is played will be heard. Okay, sound is different. Sound, everything will be heard. But screen, if you're only sharing a PDF, people won't see your WhatsApp, people won't see your desktop. But sound, everything will be heard. Okay, so always disable your, not disable, just for me, I'll just switch it off. Okay. Okay. Let's go on. Okay, switch other devices to silent mode. Yeah, if you're expecting an important phone call, then that's different. If not, don't be next to your phone and then suddenly your phone ring during your presentation. Okay, remove any other forms of potential distractions. Okay, so over here I wrote there, consider using a headphone with mic so you can hear better, your participants can hear better, and there's less background noise for everyone, and others around you don't have to listen as well. Okay, so there are so many choices that you can use. You can use a wired earbuds. Do I have one? Oh, no, it's outside. Yeah, the normal wired one. You can use a wireless without wire headset with a boom mic, or you can have over the ear earphone. So you have a lot of options. Okay, so you can consider what is best for you and what do you prefer to use lah. Okay, ini kalau guna Google Meet, Microsoft Teams sama cara kah? Okay, how to answer? Some of the features in Zoom compared to Google Meet or Microsoft Teams will be a little bit different. But if you're talking about the techniques, right, mostly it should be the same. Okay, things like how do you control your sound, how do you share screen, and the tips there usually are similar. Okay, let me know if I'm answering you. Okay, just type to me in the chat if I'm not. Okay, poll 3, frequent sound issues. Okay, so let's do a poll again. Okay, this is based on a lot of interesting situations that I face, but it is problem solving skills. So let's try, okay? Okay, so I'm going to end the polling now, and I'll share the results to you, okay? Okay. This one is really just testing problem solving skills because this happens quite frequently. So it's really for you to think on what are the issues so that when next time, if you find yourself in that situation or in a meeting when somebody needs help, you'll be able to assist, okay? So the first one, I know some of you mentioned you weren't able to look at, you weren't able to see, so I'll just read it out, okay? What is a likely cause and resolution when the presenter is unmuted? That means the presenter is not mute and can hear. The presenter can hear participants speaking, but participants cannot hear the presenter. Okay. Most of you got it right. It's the presenters. Let me read again. But the participants cannot hear the presenter. Yeah, most of you got it right. So the presenter's microphone has issues. So the presenter needs to check the microphone settings. Okay, on the bottom left, under the mute button, right, you can see when you click on that button above, there is this thing on select a microphone, select a speaker. So usually it is when you have issues with your mic, you will need to just change your settings here, okay? I can't go into detail with you, you just really have to try it lah, okay? And the speaker as well. So mic is, people can't hear you, right? So you'll need to check your mic. Speaker is usually, you can't hear. So you just need to check to make sure that your speaker and your mic settings are correct, okay? The second one is interesting. What's the likely cause? when the participants can hear the presenter, participants can hear each other, but the presenter cannot hear the participants. Okay, very good. So it's the presenter speaker that is not working. Okay. Okay, so these are actually basic things to know, but sometimes this happens and sometimes a lot of people don't know how to resolve it. Okay, there's one interesting thing about Zoom. Okay, if you see below, okay, you'll be able to see that it's having a live transcript below. As I'm talking, you will be able to see the words coming out, right? So you can actually consider using this live transcript option, because when you enable it, you can actually just save it as well. So next time, if you're writing notes, you can just enable this and you can save the notes at the end. So you don't need to, susah payah type out your notes when actually technology already allows for you to do this. So you can use the live transcript function. So this function has to be enabled before you start your meeting from the zoom.us. So you must go to the web version, zoom.us, and you enable live transcript. Then during your meeting, you will be able to see the button like what you see for share screen, mute and stop video. You'll see an extra one called live transcript. So this live transcript, when you click on it, it will just do what you're seeing now on your screen. Okay, or you can also do closed captioning. So for example, let's say in this session that you have people who may not understand Malay, that may not understand English that well. So you can also have someone else to type. Okay, let me just show you an example. So, okay, can you see? Selamat pagi. Okay, you can actually, nope, let me just stop that first. Okay, below over there you can see selamat pagi, right? Okay, or you can type anything. So you don't have to be a live transcript. It can also be someone else typing it out. Okay, so you can actually use all these different tools on Zoom. Okay, and this would help if, let's say, you have people with connectivity issues and they can't really hear their speakers, something wrong. You just switch on the live transcript. Okay, so if they really can't hear you, speakers not working, just enable live transcript. They will be able to read, and you can adjust the font size as well. Okay, can only transcribe English. Okay, I haven't checked on Bahasa, but so far I've seen that it's made the main languages lah, like English, German, that kind, I believe lah, but I haven't done much research on that, so I can't answer whether our other local languages are available. So far, I've seen only English, and English you have to pronounce properly as well. So if you don't pronounce properly, it may come out interesting things, and your audience may just have a laugh on the funny things that is transcribed lah. Okay. Talking about transcript. Okay, good. Thanks. You can see the transcript. The funny thing about language and translation, I was thinking like one of the funniest for me lah, the funniest subtitle that I've seen was this. Let me type in the chat. The word was serial killer, and the Bahasa translation was this: pembunuh bijirin. Oh, that's the best I've ever seen. Okay, anyway, let's quickly move on because we don't have much time left. Okay, actually this is one of the key parts of the presentation as well. So how do you want your audience to feel during a presentation? And that's where interaction is really very important. So what you can do is to use the non-verbal feedback feature effectively. Non-verbal feature is just now when I asked you to click on reactions, so you can see yes, no, the heart shape, slower, faster, and all that. So all these have to be enabled beforehand. And you can also enable what kind of emojis that you want to be there. All right. You can also use icebreakers, energizers, simulations, and games. Okay. If you have time, I can just do a quick game with you later. But before that, I'll just run through some of the features in Zoom. Okay. So you have polls, you have breakout rooms, annotation, and all that. Okay, so this one you should be familiar with for reactions. Okay, the non-verbal feedback feature. Okay, I've also used 3 different polls earlier for you to respond. I know some of you have issues, especially if you're using an iPad or a mobile. Yeah, usually the thing about iPad is that it can just disappear if you didn't manage to click on it, right? Somehow the polls bar will disappear. And also if you're joining in from browser, you may not be able to participate in polls. So it's always best that everyone is participating on the desktop app. Okay, so over there, the host or co-host can view this. Settings have to be enabled. The questions can be loaded before the session or during the session itself. You can make the poll results to be anonymous or not. If you really want it to make it anonymous, you can actually click on anonymous, but if not, you can actually use that to test their knowledge and understanding as well, and you can also have their names. And the poll results can be downloaded after the session. Okay, earlier we tried breakout rooms for smaller group discussions. Okay, so this one is only for the host or the co-host to enable this. You can create up to 50 breakout rooms. And the interesting thing is that you can auto assign or you can let participants choose. And you can also have this feature, right? Which in my previous presentation, I mentioned what I like about WebEx. WebEx is that it just automatically pushes you into breakout room meetings without you clicking join. For now, Zoom has also enabled this feature, which I tried earlier as well. So you don't need to click like join before you go into the breakout room, but you'll automatically be put into the rooms. Okay, the host and co-host can move between breakout rooms. There is an ask for help button for participants where the host can go in and help you. So now you can also share screen to rooms, meaning that let's say you have already been placed into your smaller group, smaller breakout rooms, right? I can also share screen from the main session to all the breakout rooms. But for that to happen, everyone must be on the latest version of Zoom. Okay, and it only works, I mentioned earlier, for Zoom app or desktop app. Okay, those who can't, they won't be able to join the breakout rooms, but you can actually use the main room as the alternative breakout rooms for those who cannot go into the breakout rooms. Okay. Okay. I know in the last session, a lot of people say, I don't know how to activate or how to enable a breakout room. So here is a link actually. This lady, she's a trainer on Zoom. She has done a very good training session on how to manage breakout rooms. You can actually view her session at the link I've placed below there, and you can also explore all the different kinds of training session that they have over there. You can choose to join in a live training or watch a recorded session because they cover a lot on Zoom features. Okay, like I mentioned much earlier in today's session is that there's so many Zoom features, I won't be able to cover everything. And also because we are all of different levels, some are really at the beginner level, some are really advanced, right? So the thing is that the intention today is that to show you different features so that you know that, okay, there is such a feature, but then when you want to know how to go and use that feature, right, you can actually go and find it out yourself online, okay, through the Zoom Help Center or through their webinars. You can Google it. You should be able to get your response. Okay, now let's try this. So just now somebody asked about participant conteng the slides. So actually how they do it is, okay, you can try it later also. We'll have another slide and you can do it. But here is this slide to show you where to find, okay? So when you see this, right, you are viewing, okay, so right now you should be seeing you are viewing Yvonne's screen. Click on the view options, annotate, and you will get this one here. You won't be able to see Spotlight because Spotlight is only for me, okay? And you can annotate, all right? So let me just enable you to annotate. Okay. Yep, I have people contenging already. Yep. Enjoy conteng, yes. I know you feel so happy. Okay, I feel very happy for you too. Okay, what I'll do now is I'll clear all drawings. Okay, and let's move on. We move on to the next slide, okay? Okay. Okay, now let's say if I want to use annotation as a feature, right? I would like to ask you a question. How do you feel about working from home? Okay. Can you use a stamp feature? So when you use annotate, right now a lot of you are using the drawing. Can you use the stamp feature and do stamp on where you are feeling, okay? So I'm just going to clear it first. Okay, I'm just going to clear. Okay, please put your stamp. Okay, you can see mouse select text, draw. Alamak besarnya. Okay, those who cannot see because of that. Okay. Okay, I see most people happy on the right lah. Some of you are adding shapes. You're covering it, but you cover not so nice lah. People cannot see, right? Okay, so okay, most of you love it. Great. Okay, anyone still have issues? Okay, I'll answer some questions later. I don't have stamp. Yeah, it depends if you are using the desktop version, the latest one, you should have it. But if you don't, it's okay. You can you can update a Zoom version. Okay. I have some questions in the chat. I will respond to you later, okay? Okay, I am going to... Okay, and the thing about annotation is that you can actually save the drawing as well, all right? Okay, I'm going to start to disable annotation. Okay, thank you very much for all those who have stamp or draw or jontang. I think you'll feel very happy that you can jontang. Yeah, sometimes when I do sessions with children, right, they also like to try to jontang. That's why you need to make sure that as a screen sharer, you disable annotation if you don't want anyone to jontang. Okay, but if you want people to participate and interact, right, you can actually use this feature as well. And it's to me, it's quite exciting. Like people love to jontang slides. I don't know why, but yeah. Okay. All right. Bearing in mind the time. So just tips on sharing files or links. Yeah, we're moving on. So if you remember now when I started the session, I had a poll and I asked you if you are sharing devices. So if I know that a lot of people are sharing devices and I need to share a link, so what I'll do is I can add a QR code or a shortened URL. Okay, so that helps because they may not be able to like access the laptop because they're sharing the screen, so they can just use their devices and just scan the QR code, or they can just use the shortened URL. Or you can also share the link via chat, so participants can click directly on the link and you can share your files on the chat box as well, right? So example, how would you feel if I shared the link like this? Okay, participants, you may access the file recording here. They'll look at you and they're like, oh, how am I supposed to access this, right? It's like livetraining.zoom.us//. So it's very difficult, right? So it's best that you consider the needs of your participants and like don't share links like this. Either you put it on the chat so that they can click and straight away look at it, or you can use a QR code or a shortened URL. Okay. So if you use a shortened URL, right? Okay, let's just stop share. I'll just show it to you. Let's say, okay, one thing about sharing screen is that you can also share a whiteboard. So whiteboard is like this. I can also like draw, okay, or I can type it out. So for example, let's say I want to use a shortened URL. Okay, people like to use bit.ly, right? Okay, I've seen very funny URL shorteners. The thing about URL shorteners is it's supposed to be short, okay? But it's short and it's unique because you can only have one URL shortener. So for example, let's say if I want to share a link to you today, right? Let's say I do this. Okay, this is the link. Example lah. Okay, imagine I use this kind of URL shortener. I say, okay, everyone, you can go to this URL. It's also very long, right? The thing about a URL shortener is it's supposed to be short, okay? So try to use shorter links, like if you need to, you just do like FPCS 210721 example, okay? Something that is shorter. Don't use a URL shortener and use such a long thing because it's going to be annoying again for your participants. Okay. Okay, mindful of the time, we're going to end soon. Okay, the roles of the host and co-host are actually very important. I'm just going to really run through briefly because I've put the links over here so you can actually read it more, okay? But I can't emphasize enough the role of the host and co-host because they are the ones who will determine whether your session berjalan secara lancar, okay? So mute, unmute, you can actually help people. Sometimes they just unmute, just help to mute them lah, okay? Spotlighting, for example, now I am spotlighted, okay? Let's say I choose to, someone else is talking and I want to spotlight the person, okay? So I can add a spotlight, okay? Who can I spotlight? Mr. Melvin, pula kena spotlight, and then he will see your video is being spotlighted to everyone. Okay, maybe I need to stop share so you can see it. Okay, so you'll be able to spotlight whoever is switching on the video. Okay, if you have been spotlighted and you want to, and the host forgot to spotlight you, you can remove spotlight. Okay, Mr. Melvin, you can try to see whether you can remove spotlight. I believe you can, so I'll leave it to you there. Okay, so that is spotlighting. Then the next one is renaming. So make it clear who are the participants who are joining. You can actually rename them, particularly if they join in as iPhone 2, Huawei 1, Galaxy A2. Okay, so you can actually rename them. Okay, kasihan lah, Melvin, I help you lah, remove spotlight. Okay, that happened to one of the Zoom meetings. Somebody was spotlighted the whole time. So I told the person, just click on remove spotlight. Okay. Policing, ensure the right participants are in and restraining potential harm. There are cases of Zoom bombing. So I think earlier somebody asked also, there is a button that you can click to make sure that every participant's activities are stopped. So when you click on that button, right, all videos will be off, all sounds will be mute, all screen sharing will be stopped. So there's that emergency button as well. So co-hosts also, hosts and co-hosts, sometimes you have presenters who forget to read chats, or they, certain things they are not sure of. So just voice out and tell them, okay? And also recording and every other thing that can be done to help the session to be better. Okay, just a quick one on recording, right? You can record on the cloud or you can record locally on the laptop. Okay, for cloud recordings, you can set the playback duration. So for example, let's say in the beginning, I have a lot of I was like saying hi to a lot of people and I don't want that to be in the screen recording. I can actually cut part off. At the end, I can also cut. So you can trim the beginning and the end, but you cannot cut in the middle. So that's where you use the pause recording feature for your recording. If you use pause recording, it will be one recording where it's pause, stop, okay? But what I mean pause, stop, sorry. Pause means like I start recording now that I pause, and then maybe I'm saying something confidential, right? So the co-host and host must also be clear to not record confidential things if it's not supposed to be recorded. You can click pause. Then when you click resume, it will be saved as one recording. But if you click stop recording, it will be saved as different files. Okay? So you can choose the type of recording layout that's preferred. Okay? Yeah, honestly, 2 hours is very short. If you want to learn, it actually takes longer than that, but this is really just the beginning. For you, the links are there, the slides, you will get it so that you'll be able to check further when you need. I know some of you are still like, oh no, so many things, I really do not know how to do a lot of things. Don't worry, okay, just Google. When you doubt, just Google. Okay, you can also learn more from Zoom's help center there. Attend free Zoom training sessions or watch recorded sessions there. Okay, I'm going to stop share because I'm mindful of the time. I have a few questions, and Soka has also asked me to do a poll on, the poll on your feedback, okay? So I'm going to do the poll, and at the same time, I'm going to answer your questions as well, okay, for those who have asked me questions. Okay, I've launched the poll. Okay, let me go. Okay, Muhammad Iqmal, is it? I have a question regarding the number of participants. What I saw in Google is the Zoom Pro can only have 100 participant max. How do I add on? Okay, you add on by purchasing the, okay, let me just go. Add on by purchasing the large meeting add-on. Let me see. Okay, so if you go to the slide that I don't need to let me see. I can share this screen. So if you're seeing this, Iqbal who asked me the question, so Pro up to 100 participants, you can increase the participants up to 1,000 with large meetings add-on. So you just, instead of subscribing for the small business or the enterprise one, you can just purchase the large meeting add-on. Okay, so you have to just pay more, increase participants capacity and all that. So you just go and check there. Okay. I'm still trying to see questions. Let me know if I miss it. Okay. I don't know how to unspotlight. So you just have to go and click on yourself, and then you can click stop spotlight, remove spotlight. Okay, sometimes when want to share screen using computer, but Windows pop up, can't share screen, error code 105035. Okay, honestly, I don't know what this error code is, but maybe you can let me know more details. What is the, what do you call that? What is the issue? But actually, you can Google it also. So just to share with you, right? A lot of things you can Google, okay? Like here, basically what I do, I just copy paste your question from chat on Google. Can't share screen, then it already appears, the question. So appears, your participants can only see a blank screen, blah, blah, blah. Simple cause. Okay, the responses seem to be on Google. They say that occurs when the files are missing from the bin directory and all that. Okay, so please go on Google and check for the details on your error code. Let me just see. Okay, another question. Can the host or presenter join any breakout rooms if, let's say, the host or presenter need to do interactive? Yes. So Kasma Mohammed, yeah. So you can, as the host or the co-host, right? You must be a host or co-host. You can see the breakdown of all the rooms and you can click join. You can click whatever room that you want to join and you just join. As long as you are the host or co-host, you can join any breakout rooms, but you can only join one breakout room at one time. So if you're in room 1 and you want to go to room 5, you must, you can just go back to the breakout room option and then you click click room 5 and then just click join. If you're not sure, you just leave breakout room, go back to the main meeting session, and then you join the room that you want to. Okay, so yeah, the host or co-host can move between breakout rooms. Okay. Okay, Soka, I actually have a question for you because this person is saying Jawatan Juru audit is not one of the options. Okay, I'll send that directly to Soka. Okay. What else? May I know why I don't receive any poll survey throughout this course? Deborah, I think you need to let me know what device are you using. So potentially the poll, you cannot see the poll, maybe because you're using a mobile, you're joining in from browser instead of using the app, or your app is not updated. There are a lot of reasons why people don't. Sorry? Someone saying something? Okay, survey done. Okay. All right. Okay, jawatan. Okay. What I'll do is I'll share the slides here, but for all of you who have joined today, I believe that you also have your registered email there. So I will also share that. We'll arrange to share that via email. Okay. Let me just, for those who want to get it fast, I'll just share the PDF file for you here. Just a while, yeah. Okay, it's already past 12. Oh. Oh, I sent it to Soka instead. Let me send it to everyone. Okay. Have you gotten the slides for those who can see the chat? Okay, yeah, the playback recording and the slides will be made available, yeah? Okay, any other questions that I have missed or certain things that you'd like to share? Okay, I'm just going to copy paste some of the things to Soka, some things that you are telling me directly. Like jawatan pembantu awam tidak ada untuk mengisi semasa bekerja BDR, ada juga pengalaman dan belajar. Okay. Jawatan saya pun tidak ada. Okay, jawatan siapa yang si ada, just can you chat to, just put it in the chat. You can either send it to Soka or, yeah. Okay, if there are no more questions, I'll pass the time back to Soka.
Okey, terima kasih Puan Yuwon. Saya rasa banyak benda baru yang kita telah belajar hari ini, walaupun sesi kita agak lama lah hari itu. Jadi untuk mengingatkan anda semua supaya update jam latihan dalam James hari itu adalah sebanyak 2 jam. So jangan lupa juga mun kita ada vaksin, update dalam James. Kita ada satu option dalam James untuk update vaksin kita. Saya ada mainkan video macam ni kita nak update vaksin kita di James di awal taklimat. So jangan lupa minggu depan kita ada sesi taklimat yang seterusnya untuk tajuk kemudahan pinjaman Selasa depan. Jadi selamat menyambut Hari Sarawak untuk esok hari. Harap kita semua sentiasa sehat dan sentiasa berdoa agar keadaan pandemik kita pulih. Sehingga kita berjumpa lagi dalam sesi yang seterusnya. Terima kasih kepada anda yang semua telah join pagi ini dan telah beri feedback. So untuk jawatannya kita akan tambah baiklah dalam borang survey kita. Jadi kami minta maaf untuk bahagiannya lah. So stay safe, take care, bye.